What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadskii, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. Of course, we're at the end of the month, we're moving into December now, and we are going to be talking about the final tier list of 2023, which is just bizarre to think about that we're at this point here. Next tier list video, we're going to have all of the New Year's legend or legends on the tier list, and it's going to be awesome to see what they come up with this year, because typically the New Year's celebration brings the best characters in the game. So it's going to be interesting to see what they decide to put in this year for the New Year's celebration, but I'm really excited to jump into this video for you guys. But before we do jump into it, I need to talk about my own personal criteria that I typically use in order to rank these characters. First of which is the power of the unit, how much damage are they able to output, how fast can they clear content, and how reliable are they at clearing that content. What is their clear rate as a captain? Is there content out there that they cannot clear due to the capabilities of the character? And how usable or versatile is that character? Can you put them on lots of different teams despite not even being boosted just because the character is that powerful? All of those things go into determining whether a character is really good, in my personal opinion. But of course, this is my own subjective opinion as to ranking these characters. What you're seeing here are characters that are not on the tier list, but we have some characters that we need to add to the list. We've got the new legend Koby, 6+ Stampede Luffy, as well as the new Babang Sugo Fest with Momonosuke and Hiyori. If you want to see my opinions about all these characters, go check out the YouTube channel over the last month or so. We've been able to talk about them, and yeah, I'm not the biggest fan of some of these units, but we'll get through it once we get there. First thing is first, though, we do need to have a look at some of the previous lists that we currently have. So this is going to be the tier 5. And I mean, there's a couple of characters that stand out that I actually want to bump up a little bit. I do want to actually bump up Kuzan. I think he's actually been pretty good, and I've been using him a decent amount. He's just a solid unit overall. I mean, to be honest, a lot of these characters in their own way could probably be bumped up, but because there's so many characters that we have to rank against each other, it's pretty difficult to do that. Like Boa Hancock, yeah, she's really cool, but there's not a lot of content out there that you really need to use her for, you know what I mean? If we look at tier 4, though, once again, lots of characters here. I believe Stampede Luffy might have been in this list last time. He might have been above. I didn't actually check where the old Stampede Luffy was actually ranked prior to this. But we do have Katakuri and Oven in tier 4. It pains me to put them there, but they're just not that good. I mean, yeah, they're really good for the month of content that they were released for, but past that, I just don't see them really seeing any play. I just don't think they're going to be useful characters moving forward. Unless if there's going to be more characters that come out that are solely focused around doing as many specials as possible, where it becomes very useful to use a character such as that. And they just don't do enough with their special, at least in my personal opinion. I know some people really rate the EXP boosting Marco, and that's cool and all, but EXP isn't everything. The character is okay by himself, but it's just damage. It doesn't really do a whole lot. Toki definitely has her uses for sure. We've got tier 3 here. Fuji and Kizaru, I actually want to bump them down. This character is just not that good. It's just not. This character has that ability of improving the critical hit of your characters, and it hasn't really seen play. It hasn't been useful. The character doesn't have a good kit. They're just very bland, very boring. Definitely one of the probably worst legends that has come out throughout 2023, which is pretty bad to say, but they're just not that good, which is unfortunate. We've got other really good characters here, though, like 6+ Chopper is still fantastic, good utility. He'll never be a bad unit, in my opinion. Sanji Judge with their 6+, I wish they were a little bit better than what they currently are, but it is what it is. King and Queen, as old as they are, they're still very good, actually, and they have great synergy with other good driven or powerhouse focused characters that release. They're just good units to have, you know? They're very unique. There's not too many characters that can do exactly what they do, you know? Moving on, though, to tier 2. Getting up there with some of the powerful units in the game now, Halloween Ace and Hiyori, and then you've also got Robin Jinbei, like just fantastic utility units, the Speed Farmers with the Sulong characters, Waifus who have good utility as well, Tezora 6+, one of my favorite 6+s that they've released this year, fantastic unit, good in PvP, good in normal content, just an all-round great character. There's actually some really solid characters in here, like Kid Luffy is still pretty good, Izo has good synergy with good shooter characters, this Jack still sees a lot of play because the Kaido crew characters are really strong. Legend Ein, to be honest, I kind of want to bump her down a tier just for now, because I just don't think she's going to be that useful moving forward. However, I do think that 6+ Zephyr is a really good option still, and he synergizes well with some of the good units in the game. But basically, Ein only really works like at the best of her ability when you can utilize Zephyr. So Zephyr just automatically gets more value because of that. So Ein is only really good when you have the other counterpart unit to it, which is a little bit of a shame. She's so focused around Zephyr that, like, if you take Zephyr out of the equation, it doesn't make Ein really that good at all, which is pretty unfortunate. So tier 1, getting up there with some of the best units now. So we've got Ben Beckman and Lucky Roo, still one of my favorite legends in the game. They're just exceptional. We've got the film red characters with Luffy and Shanks. Now I actually kind of just want to bump all the way up here to the top 5. Now, Luffy and Shanks have been surprising me, actually. They're a lot better than I thought they were going to be. I do want to put them up maybe into tier 0 for now, at the bottom of tier 0. We'll see how things move on and see if they continue to see play over the next month or so. But they've actually been really good. And, I mean, same with this Uta. I'm using this Uta currently in PK8. Like, she's just so good. Like, the Uta characters with the turn progress activated effect is so valuable. It's a really, really strong ability. Rayleigh Gaban, still see some good play. Nami Karina, I personally actually didn't really use them throughout the month, which I thought I was going to use them a lot more, but I don't really use Buggy, like Legend Buggy, to dupe drop stuff these days. Usually if I'm farming like those daily cotton candy islands or the Tome Islands, I typically just use EXP Marco just because I can get through it faster. And yeah, you can, I just auto it, and yes, you can just auto it with, you know, Nami Karina or whatever, but I don't really care. I don't really care about dupe dropping a tome when I already have thousands upon thousands. Well, same with cotton candy, to be honest, unless if I'm specifically going out of my way to farm cotton candy, but at that point, you're going to use Chopper for that anyway. So it's a bit of a weird situation with Nami Karina. I still think they're good, though. Good special, good switch effect, so they're still a very, very powerful unit. I think Kid is, he should not be as high as what he is. I'm going to bump him down a little bit. Whitebeard vs Blackbeard is still strong, Ace Akainu is still good, Ace Sabo is good, Ace Luffy is good. Some very strong units here. I don't really think this is that bad. I kind of want to bump up these guys. Like, these guys here, they just continue to see play. Like, every month I feel like I'm using these characters. Like, they're just so good. I want to bump them up actually quite high. These units are very, very good. Hiyori is going to see a lot of play. She has access to very good supports as well. And then Robin Jinbei, they just continue to be good. So I'm going to bump them up a little bit. And then we move on to tier 0 here. Tier 0, some of the best units in the game are here. And I think I'm going to move Luffy Yamato down a little bit, and the reason for it is I just don't use them. I just never use Luffy Yamato, because the fact that Gear 5 exists in the game, and you're going to use a Luffy character on your team, specifically for super bosses, you're probably going to use Gear 5 Luffy. But with Luffy Yamato, the design is so weird and wonky that you have to, you know, go out of your way to perform certain runs in certain ways just to make sure that that character works exactly how you need them to work. And it's just a lot of effort for... It's good output, I will admit. If you do use them correctly, the output you get from Luffy Yamato is very good, but Gear 5 is easier to use and provides amazing output. So I just think that this character is losing a bit of value as things progress, and inevitably we get better Yamatos, we get better Luffys, which devalues Luffy Yamato all in one, you know what I mean? So it's unfortunate, but, you know, these characters here are still very good, and I want to move Gear 5 to become the best legend in the game. You know, it's been a few months since he's actually come out, but I've finally decided, you know what, just because of the consistent usage that he sees in all forms of content, Gear 5 Luffy, and this includes his 6-star plus and his 6-star, I think it's the best unit in the game. He can just be used in everything, he's amazing, and just works well with so many good units in the game. So, Gear 5 Luffy is that guy. Nami's still very good, Uta is amazing, Sanji I do still want to leave in the top 5 position because he is just so powerful. His rush is very strong for strength decks and quick teams, and then also providing chain boundary, base attack boost, chain addition, and you can have Brook support to have chain multiplicative. So this character by himself providing full board of slots, all chain buffs for your crew, and a Rush Sugo special. Sanji is just phenomenal. A lot of people have been rating this Ashura Zoro, and I definitely agree. However, I don't have this Zoro at max tandem level 5, and I just don't really use him all that often. If I had this Zoro at level 5, I probably would rank him a lot higher. but I think I will bump him up because he has been seeing a lot more play recently. I think I'm going to put him above Luffy Yamato at this point. I feel pretty comfortable leaving him in that position, but of course, if I had more dupes invested into this character, I probably would use him a lot more. Same with this queen. I actually want to bump this queen up quite a fair bit. This queen's been seeing a lot of play, very good in super bosses, works well in Gear 5 teams when you have to have one of each color. Having Queen be your dedicated int character, or even Law and Kid being your dedicated int character, it all works very, very well. And the rest of the characters on this list, I feel pretty comfortable with in terms of where their positions are right now. Let's start talking about some of these new characters. We've got Koby is the first character we're going to be talking about. Koby, I really do not like this character's overall design. However, I can respect that this character does have some unique things going on, but I just don't think he's going to see a lot of play outside of the current release structure. Like a special that can give you a full border tandem, which is good, color affinity, and it is a rainbow color affinity, also good, removing threshold, also good. Like, these are good uses as a sub, and then if you have a fighter or cerebral captain, you can captain swap any character out as your captain for 1 turn, and that's the issue. I would have loved if the captain swap was for 2 turns, so you could use it preemptively into a boss stage. You know, if the enemy activates a certain debuff and you can switch a certain captain into the captain spot to remove the debuff, then your captain switches back. But you could have done some absolutely nasty stuff by having Koby become a 2-turn captain swap, so that is a bit unfortunate. And I think if he did have that, I would rank him a lot higher. His captain ability isn't that good. His super tandem, also pretty bad. This character's design is super wonky. Good support effect though, you gotta respect that support. But due to the fact that he is a rainbow unit, I actually do want to put him in tier 2 for now. I think I'm going to put him just below Giltazor. I think Giltazor is still going to see way more play than what Koby will. But Koby is still a solid unit. He is an anniversary exclusive character, which is also the unfortunate part about it, because you're not going to get access to this character that often. And he does have some very unique stuff. Koby gets access to some pretty interesting supports as well, most namely being Legend Garp with the removal of 3 turns of Special Bind, which is super unique. So that's cool that he gets access to something like that. But, you know, Koby, I'm not a big fan of his design, but I do respect he's got some cool stuff going on. The next character on the list is Stampede Luffy, and I am very happy with what they've done with Stampede Luffy, despite the fact that they did not give him a super type or a super class. Huge missed opportunity there. Pretty pissed off, though, that they gave one to Zephyr and Giltazor, and then the next month after that, Stampede Luffy gets one, and he doesn't get a new super type or a super class. I think that's a bit of a weird thing. However, this Stampede Luffy already has a phenomenal captain ability with utility and great damage, matching slots, HP, damage reduction with level limit break expansion. You also get the additional chain bonus stuff when you're below 30% health. Like, his captain ability is already very good. And even before the super evolution, it was already very good, even with the weaker multipliers. So, you know, Stampede Luffy, I think they've done a really good job. They've buffed his special now, so he has a utility focus piece in his special. So that's awesome. I think he's going to see actually more play than Film Red Snake Man. And the cool thing about this Luffy as well is that he's fighter powerhouse, not fighter free spirit. So it means you can use some different stuff with him, kind of similar to the Gear 5 Luffy from Film Red. So I do like what Stampede Luffy actually received with his Super Evolution. I'm pretty content with it, despite him not getting the Super Type or Super Class, which he probably should have gotten. But either way, I'm really happy with that. He's a solid unit, going to see a lot of play moving forward. And now we get to talk about the 2 new debut characters, Momonosuke Hiyori. I don't know what they were thinking with this batch. This whole batch is solely focused around Momo being this final tap character and introducing a new mechanic that gives a damage bonus to the final tap character. So Momo gives like a 30% damage increase to final tap characters that are slasher or free spirit, I believe it is, and then the whole batch has abilities that can further buff that. And that is cool and all, but to be honest, it's just not going to be that good. It's not going to be a little component that you're going to see really being used all that much. He's a quick unit, and the units that he synergizes with, yes, if you have the whole batch against a strength-focused boss, it's going to be good. But even in the sense of like a super boss, for example, I mean, like, Gear 5 is still going to be the better option. So, Momo, I don't know what they were thinking. Like, this is literally a worse legend, a worse design legend compared to the Momo that we got earlier on in the year. That Psy Dragon Momo is just a better unit in like every way compared to what this Momo is capable of doing. However, I will give respect. His special ability has great utility, removing 7 turns of defense up, and I think it's threshold as well, and potentially being a 3-turn chain boundary. Yes, that is useful, but when you have some of the other legends that have released in 2023 that are capable of doing much more than what this character can do. And another thing as well, this character's captain ability is just plain boring. It just doesn't do anything. Like basic stuff, basic cooldown, basic attack boost. I think there's matching slots as well, and that's like basically it. He just doesn't do a whole lot, so it's a very boring legend. However, he is Slasher Free Spirit. You can synergize him with very good Free Spirit and or Slasher characters, so it gives him a bit of credence there, but to be honest, this is a poorly designed Sugofest exclusive, just not at the power level that we would have expected in 2023. Hopefully they're giving us a little bit of a weak batch now, so that at the end of December, we get something crazy. The final new legend here is going to be Hiyori. Now, Hiyori, comparing to Momo, is a much better unit. This character has a utility piece in her captain. 10 turns of despair removal is good. And then her special ability also providing some utility, some orb change, healing. Her captain ability also has like additional healing and stuff as well. And the big thing about her as well is that she has like the ability to give quick slasher and free spirit characters a relatively decent attack and orb boost, but then if you already have an attack and orb boost, you get a clock buff to get a massive attack and orb boost in the following turn. She's just really cool, and this is a character that I could definitely see being used in content moving forward. As we said, you know, being quick slasher free spirit, she gets very good synergy with some of the other good characters in the game. And the only thing that's really bad about this unit is her super tandem sucks. It is really, really bad. But her super type is great. So if you do use her as a captain, you get like orb change, 6 turns paralysis removal, so almost like another key utility component of her effect, of her kit. She also has orb block in her super type, resistance down in her super type. She just does a whole lot of stuff to give you more damage and has a couple of pieces of utility. Like, that's all you could really ask for. I think this character will actually see a little bit more play than Koby, but probably not a whole lot, you know what I mean? Like, she's going to be one of those mid-level legends that, yeah, she's very nice to have, but she's not going to see that much play. But she's going to be really nice to have, definitely better than Momo, despite the fact that, you know, like, Hiyori has a bit of utility in her special removing attack down, whereas, like, this guy removes, like, 7 turns of enemy defensive effects. So, while they both have cool utility stuff, Hiyori just has more utility going on, and it really helps her just amplify her usability moving forward. So Hiyori is a really, really solid legend, but this is what we have for our tier list for moving into December of 2023. So with that, that is going to wrap it up for the tier list of December 2023, the final tier list of 2023, before we move on to 2024 and beyond and see if anything will change upon some new legends releasing for New Year's. And of course, when New Year's does release, because it is such one of those monumental Sugofest, we'll probably flush out the whole tier list and start from scratch with the new characters on board. So that's the plan moving forward. Hopefully you enjoyed the video though, and if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.